อนนี้ครับก็มาอยู่ที่โคอาโลฮาแล้วครับเอาละเดี๋ยวไปดูกันครับว่าโคอาโลฮาเขามีอะไรกันนะครั้งนี้นะทัวร์โรงงานด้วยอะไรด้วยนะฮะ
My son, Noah, so he's going to be 21 next March. And maybe we'll take 3 more in English. Yeah, possibility. Not know what koa is. Don't everybody knows what koa. You guys know koa. It's a type of acacia tree, but found only in Hawaii. So it's unique to here in the islands, and koa doesn't grow anywhere else in the world. So what a lot of people know is that koa is really expensive and it's really hard to get. The reason being that these little islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, that's the only place that you can find koa, right? So true koa. So in addition to that, what makes koa special is a long time ago prior to outside contact. So koa was used to make canoes, so boats, and also to use to make like tools and weapons. But koa was always regarded as a very prized wood. So even the king of an island or the village chief, right? Let's say he's gonna go to war with the next island and he needs canoes, he needs weapons. Even the chief couldn't just say, cut down these trees, let's make some canoes, let's make some weapons. So there was a process involved. He would have his kahu or his priest actually go into the forest. He would pray, wait for a sign, come and say, okay, so these are the trees we're going to take. So, yeah, exactly. So we don't do that anymore. But what a lot of people do is we wait for trees that are fallen or unhealthy trees. We take those out of the forest, but we leave the healthy trees so they can, basically the seeds make more koa trees, right? So currently there's a misperception of koa and that it's endangered or there's not a lot of koa left, but there's actually a lot of koa, but most of it is on protected land. So it's on land that belongs to Hawaii, the state of Hawaii, or it's land that's like a private owner that doesn't want people to mill or to take trees off their land. So look at it. One of the things that makes koa unique or special is we have like a red piece, kind of like a lighter blonde and cream colored piece, right? And then kind of red again, and then kind of orange, brown, and so every piece is always different. So if you look at these two, if you're not familiar with wood, I mean, you could possibly think that they're two different trees, right? So one is, I don't know, mahogany, and this could be like ash or something, right? So that's what really makes koa special and unique. It actually makes building ukulele harder though, because the best instruments, you want everything to sound relatively the same, right? So an instrument you build today versus an instrument you build 10 years from now, if we're using the same material, the more consistent that material is, the more consistent the instruments will be. So because koa is always different, it's different colors, it's different densities, it's different grain patterns, we just need to be a little bit more picky about how we choose the wood. So that all happens here. And then once all of the parts are made, we're just gonna move right over. Anybody want to take a guess what we make in the body section? High five. Give it a smile. Okay, so obviously, body section, we make the bodies of the ukulele. Kai has been, how long have you been in here? Like 2 years?
I'd say like 4 or 5 months already.
Oh, that long?
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 or 5 months. He's still relatively new. So whenever we have somebody move to a new section, we try to give them about a year to what I would consider is have like the basic mastery over everything. What he's working on right now are pineapples. So if you look at him, it's like he's just taking them out right now. He's gonna fill more into it. But pineapple shaped ukulele, yeah. So this is not the traditional shaped ukulele. The traditional shaped ukulele is shaped like an iku. So an ipu for the figure 8 shape. So the ipu is a chord, it's a rhythm instrument, yeah. But so it's shaped like an ipu or a figure 8. And this is like what most of our ukulele are, so the traditional shape. And there's a couple things. So one of our bracings right here, this is called the uni brace. And we invented this bracing here in our shop. And what it does is it allows our ukulele to last a long time because all of the bracing here in the middle is connected. It's one piece, yeah. So for this to come off or to come loose over time, it'll take a lot longer for this bracing to come off. So that's one unique thing. And then this is to show how strong the uni brace is. Yeah. So okay, you wanna try? It's okay. Okay, so right here. Yeah, it's okay. So, yep. Yep, smaller size. Okay, okay. Okay, no hands, no hands. Very good. High five. Alright. Okay. Ukulele, you know, it stays in your family, give it to your son, give it to your grandkids, and it's something that you can play for a long, long time. Yeah. So this one we obviously we cannot use. So if we, you know, if we destroyed it, it's not a big deal. Yeah. Okay. So any questions for the? So our salvo was also a musubi or onigiri salvo. Yeah. So this is unique to us. We created this shape and we wanted something. You know, the circle, the regular circle, it's perfect already. But it's not unique, right? Every ukulele, every guitar has a circle. So it's like, you know, it's like if everybody had my tattoo, it would be boring, right? Because every person on earth has the same thing. So we just wanted to be a little bit different, a little unique. So that's our musubi salvo. So he has grandchildren already. Okay. So this is my nephew Lon. So Lon is my brother, my older brother's oldest son. So he just moved into the assembly section, and what they do is they take those finished bodies. First he needs to trim all of the sides off. So the one we saw, it was still squared off, right? So he needs to trim all of that, round all the corners, and also this body, if you look at it, it looks really nice, right? It's been sanded, it's been prepped, and it just, when you look at it, it looks nice, yeah? What you need to do is sand all of that off, make sure that the corner is nice and even, nice and round, and if you want to touch it, you feel it's a little, not so nice yet, yeah? It's a little rough, not so smooth. So it looks okay, but this wouldn't feel nice. So if you were playing, right, this wouldn't feel nice when you play the ukulele, yeah? So all of those little details, after the body is prepped, so the assembly and explanation is really, really easy. So glue on a neck, glue on a fretboard, and sand it. So it's as simple as that, but it's also a lot more complex. So like Japan, right? So if we were to explain like nigiri, sushi, and you explain how to make it to somebody, super easy, right? You make rice, flavor the rice, grab the rice, cut the fish, put it on. So like explaining how to make good sushi is really easy, but to actually create really good sushi is very difficult. So similar process, right? Where all of the steps to build an instrument, to build an ukulele, the steps involved are not that difficult, but getting quality and consistency, and again, every ukulele to sound kind of the same is really where the tricky part is, right? Where you buy a KoAloha from 10 years ago and compare it to something today, it shouldn't sound like two completely different instruments. So he's actually going to be prepping all day for the rest of today, and all he's going to be doing is sanding. What he's doing right now is rechecking and drawing reference lines, so when we glue everything together, everything lines up.
Straight.
Yeah. So, okay, any questions in the body? Like metalworking tolerances, so we try to stay within a certain. I'll follow everybody. Go ahead. This is our parts row. And before the assembly and the body section can get their parts to do the bodies and assemble everything, everything is prepared in this room. So this is my other nephew, Egan. So he's working on some bridges. And our bridges are currently made, so in the back of the shop, we have two CNC machines, and they're basically computerized shaping or routing machines, right? So these come off of the CNC machine, and it's an automated process, but the finishing steps are still done by hand. And so just a lot of like the fine tuning. He's putting a very light, you have a finish of our fretboards right now. And if you look closely, the hole or the slot doesn't go all the way, yeah? So we do what's called a pocketed fret, meaning that the ends of the frets sit inside the fretboard. And what that does is, so a finished one will look like this. It's nice and smooth. And what happens over time is metal doesn't expand or contract, but wood, when it gets humid, wood will expand. When it gets dry, wood will shrink, right? So over time, the ebony will usually shrink, or whatever your fretboard is will shrink. And over time, you'll have to have your fretboard dressed or worked on because the metal ends will pop out, because the metal doesn't change, but the wood is going to shrink a little. So when you do a pocketed fret, you really don't have to do anything kind of ever. So we do that. It's a kind of, it's more work, but you need to take off the tape, apply the bridge, and they'll come into the room looking just like this, but with a bridge on. And we need to remove all of this tape that's protecting the fretboard and the nut, and then basically take a razor blade and clean up all of the edges where there was finish and like tape, right? So we do that first, so we clean everything, and then, okay, we don't have one ready, but let's pretend that this one had no strings and no pegs. The next step is to install the tuners. After the tuners go in, we'll slide in a saddle, tie on all of the strings, and then we'll kind of pre-tension them up. So this is going to be, so that sounds horrible, right? Like, I don't care. Is anybody ukulele players, musicians? You are? Okay, so would you buy this ukulele? No, right? Okay, so strings haven't been tuned up, nothing's been adjusted. It's not even relatively tuned to each other, the strings, so it sounds terrible, right? So what we need to do from here is we're going to tune it up, pre-stretch the strings, and then we take a little set of files, which are probably these. So this is probably Vance, the guy who let most of you in. This is probably, oh, it's the one.
Yeah.
This is your working files.
It's not mine, but yeah.
Okay, so and so we have two sets of files, and what we do is we individually notch every position here at the nut according to the string itself. We measure it as well using just kind of play the ukulele, because the final test again, you know, when you can involve technology, you can involve machines, it makes things more consistent, more repeatable. But at the end of the day, well, it's my belief that humans will never be replaced by machines, right? And there's a lot of crazy stuff with AI and all of this talk, like the robots are going to replace us. And there's a certain thing to how the human mind works, our creativity, or how we get inspired, and we have feelings, right? There's this unexplainable thing about humans and human interaction. So I don't know, maybe in like 200 years, you know, my descendants will figure out how to program a machine to have a heart or whatever. But as far as I'm concerned, that final test, it's always based on feel. And sometimes just something doesn't sound right? It might be, you know, the notes might be hitting the right frequency, the correct volumes or the correct amplitude, and everything may be okay, but sometimes you'll catch something, or it doesn't sound right, it doesn't feel right. And if it doesn't, then those ukulele don't pass. We take a look at them. You know, it could just be something like maybe a little piece of string was sticking out and it's causing excess vibration. And so the final test is to check it. And if everything checks out, we give it a physical inspection, make sure that everything not only sounds and plays great, but also looks great. And those are the ukulele that we sell around the world. So.
สวัสดีครับ ตอนนี้ผมอยู่กับพอแห่งโคโลฮาครับ เป็นบิ๊กบอสของอุคูเลเล่ที่ดีที่สุดของฮาวายที่หนึ่งครับ
Hello everybody, what's up? And Sawadee Krap. It's been a very long time since I've been to Thailand, but it's such a beautiful country, so many talented musical people. My name is Paul and I'm from KoAloha Ukulele. Okay, so what we have here is our satin finish, relatively new product. It's our Royal Peacock Ukulele, and it's a take or a modernization of our former Peacock. And our former Peacock, when we introduced it, was a slightly more affordable version, but what we did was we elevated it, and the Royal Peacock is like a deluxe version of a Peacock. So a couple of things is it's got a scalloped fretboard here at the bottom, and it's also got an ebony head plate here. So just a few little things that we did to make it a little bit nicer, a little more flashy than just a regular stock instrument. Sounds just like a regular KoAloha, satin finish, all koa, ebony